Good morning, folks, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto Byte. Today is Tuesday, April 26th. Market's pulling back a little bit today. Bitcoin somewhat holding its ground, but the alts are being hit pretty hard. We've got rates down, DXY continuing to rip up, so plenty to talk about today. Before we get started, CJ, how you doing today, my friend?
Doing well, Monty, thanks. Yeah, the DXY is just pumping. I think it's over 102. But one thing I do want to start with, or just share with you guys, is the list of earnings and what we're going to be seeing after the close today. We have Microsoft, Alphabet, Visa, GM, many names. And then really the meat of these earnings are going to be Wednesday and Thursday this week, with Meta reporting after the close on Wednesday, Spotify before the open. And then Thursday is really the big one, where we have Twitter. Should be really interesting to see how price action affects that before the open. And then after the close going into Friday, we're going to have Apple, Amazon, Roku, Intel, quite a lot of big tech names. So that should be very interesting and should definitely play a very strong impact in the market and kind of what we're seeing. I think it's safe to say we're still at pretty much max fear in terms of risk off and the environment of what we're seeing. But interested in your thoughts as we start this morning as well, Monty.
Yeah, CJ, I think those earnings could definitely be a catalyst for some price action. We saw that just last week. We had some really interesting earnings reports that acted as a catalyst for price action for some various assets like Tesla. But I think this week, one that a lot of crypto traders will be watching will be that Meta earnings report on Wednesday. And, for good reason. We have seen a strong correlation between the price action of Meta and the price action of Metaverse plays, not surprisingly. And that includes assets like Sand and assets like Mana as well. As you can see here, this is when Facebook transitioned to Meta. That was a huge catalyst for price for assets like Mana and like Sand as well. So now that Facebook has more aligned itself with this Metaverse play, you can expect those earning reports to affect these assets. So definitely be on the lookout for that. I know people on Twitter have already pointed this out, but I think that there is definitely merit to that. If Meta beats earnings, I do think that these could outperform the market. But if it does miss earnings, which I think is actually very much a possibility, I think these assets could be hit very hard, especially when you consider the risk off environment of this current market. So that's just something to watch for later in the week. It's not very often you have a clear cut event driven catalyst in crypto. So nice to have an earnings report that may affect the price action of a few assets here.
You say the term there, event driven, and I do want to kind of bring up Cava as well as that trade and what we've been seeing, because we have been seeing quite the strong trend beginning to materialize. And if you recall, a couple weeks ago, or actually maybe just last week, but quite recently, we were talking about Cava and what we're going to see leading up into next month. They are launching their mainnet. And so a very common trade, especially in funds, we saw this a lot in 2018 and 2019, when there's kind of a lull in the market, not a lot of liquidity or volatility going on. So the opportunities are scarce. So any type of news catalyst can really be an interesting cause for a run up like this. And so what we're seeing is a mainnet launch going into early next month is scheduled to with Cava. They're going to provide an EVM compatible layer for Cosmos and their SDK. So you'll be able to use things like Osmosis DEX with MetaMask, which should be the potential to bring in a lot of new users, because MetaMask, obviously being one of the most user-friendly. We are approaching resistance here at roughly 58. But if we are to do something where we see profit taking, a retest and a roll reversal from previous resistance to now new support, I would look for something like that and continuation into the launch of this mainnet scheduled for May. So if the broader market can hold up, you see how strong and how much beta this thing has really been performing with. So just want to take a look at there. But it's nice to see some positive price action coming out of Cava leading into that mainnet launch.
Yeah, particularly impressive when you consider the overall market conditions that it's, making that price action in. Very impressive stuff and very resilient. One thing I
12,
did want to
12% though, I believe too on Voyager.
12%.
Yeah, quite a lot. I might have to double
Wow.
check real quick, but I'm pretty sure it was 12%.
Yeah, that's very impressive. And one thing that is worth noting here is that, not many people are looking to hold alts right now, CJ. I mean, looking at Bitcoin dominance, it looks like we're seeing a bit of an exodus out of the alts. And ordinarily, when we see Bitcoin dominance turning up like this, it's typically met with unfavorable market conditions for risk on traders. That's definitely the case here. But what's worth noting is that we are currently retesting the 20 period smooth moving average. Last time we retested this level and broke above it was actually on January 20th. And for those of you who remember, that essentially marked the bottom of this market. And, January 20th or 21st was a massive red day where we went from roughly 41K all the way down to 35K, liquidating millions of dollars worth of leverage positions, and also forcing a lot of capitulation here. And now we're in a similarly precarious situation here. This uptrend that we've been kind of highlighting and these higher lows are really being tested here as the market pulls back. So if we do fail to get above the 20 period smooth moving average for Bitcoin, we break down below this critical 38.5K level that's kind of held up as supply absorption, and it managed to maintain this higher low, then I do think that we could see a continued exodus from the altcoins. And that would look like something like this here, what we saw in Bitcoin dominance, where Bitcoin outperforms the rest of the market. And, I think that is very much a possibility here. When you look at this watch list, you can see assets like AVAX, assets like Cardano, assets like Phantom, all down significantly today, while Bitcoin, is more or less down 1.5%, kind of hanging in there, better than a lot of the altcoins. So that's typical Bitcoin behavior during risk off markets. And, I just think that watching the Bitcoin dominance chart here could be pretty important, because a break above this level has typically marked, peaks in that risk off investor behavior. And that often leads to sharp sell offs in a lot of the altcoins. So, in order to protect myself here, given the fact that we are now breaking above the 20 period smooth moving average for Bitcoin dominance, I'm just starting to lighten up on some of my altcoin allocations, moving into Bitcoin, moving into USDC, just for the time being, because historically, when we've broken above this level in terms of Bitcoin dominance, it has marked a sharp sell off in the alts and some relative overperformance for Bitcoin. So just kind of protecting myself for that scenario right now, because like you said, CJ, there is a lot of fear permeating this market right now. And it's not just crypto, it's the macro conditions that are really just driving this entire market right now. So, what with the Forex trades looking particularly volatile, like we said, the DXY still up, there is a lot of reason to be concerned right now. So I'm just, positioning myself cautiously, but curious to hear your thoughts on this current market as well.
Yeah, I actually want to hit one of the questions from Dave because I really like this one, and I think it'd be good to cover, and that is Kyber Network, KNC. And I do want to talk a little bit about KNC because it is a platform that I actually did used to use quite a bit. I haven't been using it lately just because I haven't really been active in a lot of the DeFi ecosystems. But this is Kyber Swap, one of the primary aspects or use cases for Kyber. You can earn rewards and things of that. And they also have many, many chains. So they have even Near's Aurora, Arbitrum, Crypto.com's Kronos, Rose, Oasis Network, all of the major EVM compatible chains. They really do have. And if they ever were to integrate Luna or Terra, that would be probably even another very interesting catalyst. But Kyber Swap is something that I've used and is very useful in the DeFi space as an aggregator. But as you can see, I mean, this is one incredible run, bottoming out at roughly $1.30 in January, and then ever since climbing to a price of over $5. So just in the last couple months, we've already done a quiet 300% in Kyber Network. Definitely one to continue to watch. Yeah, we're approaching new all-time highs in Kyber. So That is quite interesting, and definitely one to watch as we continue to move forward here. It's been a great aggregator for DeFi ecosystems. In other words, say you're going to, make a phantom transaction on Spooky Swap, so to speak. They will actually go through the best routers, whether it be Spirit Swap or Reaper Farms or something, and they will find the best price for you. And I actually used to do all my phantom swaps on Kyber Network because it was cheaper than doing it on Spooky Swap. So really cool to see KNC finally begin to trend like that. But that's a really good DeFi protocol, and it's really good at giving you like very tight prices relative to just the native dexes.
Yeah, CJ, KNC, like you said, we used to use that all the time. And it's one of those ones that never got a whole lot of hype, but it's just been quietly doing its thing, quietly building a very solid platform where, like you showcased, you can get access to, various chains, and they do it in a way that, gives you the tightest fill possible. So, very cool stuff there from KNC, and definitely worth watching here as it's breaking into new all-time highs, despite the fact that it has everything working against it from a macro condition with this market. So thanks for pointing that out, Dave. Definitely want to keep on the radar here. But anything else you want to add here, CJ, before we wrap things up?
Just hope you guys have a wonderful day in the world wherever you're at. Should be interesting with all of these earnings coming after the bell, as well as tomorrow with Apple and many other very large players in big tech. So stay tuned for that. But appreciate it. Hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you next time.